Welcome to Authentic Living with Roxanne on Global Voice Radio. Join Roxanne Durhodge and her thought-provoking conversations, the catalyst to live your life to the fullest.
Hi everyone, it's Roxanne Durhodge. Nice to see you or hear you again this week. It's Authentic Living with Roxanne. So today I have another special guest. I think that everybody that takes the time to come in and share their time with me is special. And it's Puja Misra. Puja, and I hope I'm saying your last name properly. Is it Misra?
Yes, you read it right.
Okay. So Puja is someone that's quite unique. Puja works with women. I said that what I think she does is she transforms the perception of what people see in the mirror. I think that's how I would describe it. So I'm going to read a little bit about Puja, and then I hope that Puja will be able to explain a little bit better what she does. Puja owns Zoom into Life Photography, and in her business, she empowers women by having them capture their inner light and beauty, and it's basically a gift back to them. As a portrait photographer, she specializes in contemporary portraits for women. Her passion and mission is to help women by giving them the confidence they deserve and the knowledge that they are beautiful and worthy just the way they are, making them confident and empowered both personally and professionally to say to the world, I'm beautiful now, I'm good enough now, which is, wow, if you can do that. I know that oftentimes women, and before you're getting ready, like even today, it's kind of like, okay, does my hair look okay? I think I see a little bit of gray. All those things that we go through as women. So Puja, tell me a little bit more of what I've not kind of highlighted. I know you do branding and you do portraits for family generations. So tell me a little bit more about what you do.
So basically, like you read a little bit about me. So what I do is basically, even if I'm doing the family generations or beauty portraits, which are makeover style shoots or personal branding, my goal is always to really capture the person or the beautiful soul that woman is, to really capture her in my lens and then be able to gift it back to her. So beauty portraits, like I said, is essentially makeover style portraits. It's for a woman who really wants to come in and take the time to just celebrate herself so that she feels empowered and confident and beautiful in her own skin. Family generations are basically an extension of that same beauty shoot, because I have the family join her later after her shoot is done. And then personal branding shoots are basically customized sessions for the entrepreneurs or the small business owners, wherein I truly capture, or my goal is to truly capture who they are, what they do, and what their passion is all about into the images that I create for them, because I truly believe that images invoke feelings in the other person. So as a small business owner, what are the feelings that you want your target audience to really feel about you, and communicate that in the images through your story. So that's what I do in personal branding and headshots.
So what I love about your story is your beginning, and it's in your bio. But I think you telling it is the story about your daughter and the family pictures that when you went digging through looking for them. So I'd like you to share with the audience kind of how this path got started, because you were in fashion design and textile, right? And how you kind of landed where you did. So please share some of that story with them.
Sure. So yes, I was. So I graduated from my university in textile designing, and then I did fashion design, and then I worked in the different countries that I have been in so far as a fashion designer, as a senior designer, wherein I was designing for retail for either menswear or women's wear. And so I've been to, I have had that exposure all throughout my life, but I always had that feeling inside of me that I am to do something else, that there is something more that I need to I have that I need to offer to the world, but I didn't know what at that point of time. And but I knew that I wanted to do something where I could really make a difference in the other person's life. And so it so happened that I already had my photography business and everything, which I started with my husband initially. And so a couple of years back, when my daughter was in elementary school, she came back one day saying that, Mom, I need some photographs of ours, our family photographs to put on a classroom wall. And at that moment, when I went to my back to my family albums and I was flipping through them, I could not find any image of mine with her or just myself. And at that moment, I asked my husband, is like, how come I'm not finding any photograph of mine? You know, like we take photographs for other people. Where are my photographs? And so wait, and now you look at the moment that you don't want to take any photographs, or you're not willing to jump in. And at that moment, it's like, you know, when you notice something, you kind of notice the pattern all around you. And so I saw that that similar kind of thinking, or the similar perception in my family, some of the friends that I had, or even just strangers who I used to meet in my everyday life. And it didn't really matter whether a person was curvy like me, or a person who was lean, because my sister is lean. My younger sister has been lean throughout her life, but even she has those things. And so in that moment, I realized that I need to change this perception of women not feeling good enough, because that does not, me putting on weight or whatever happens in my life physically, does not really speak about who I am and as an individual, or me as a person. And I feel like I have that image in my head. When I used to look at myself in the mirror in my photographs, I never could connect the two images. And so my thing was, okay, it really does not matter, because I have this base of my fashion and styling and all of that. I need to marry all of this that I have accumulated over the years and create a kind of a shoot wherein I can really capture who the person is and reflect it back to them at the back of my camera, so that they feel that connection. Because when you get that connection, you feel so confident in your own skin, that you can basically move mountains. So that's what my story is.
Well, it sounds amazing. So, you know, I think of what happens to women, you know, and what you see, you know, all over the magazines and the internet, and, you know, people or celebrities, or even people in influencers sometimes will take down pictures, Photoshop it, and then put them back up. So we are really working in a world where we're consistently bombarded with perfection, right? And really, what is real? Like how, you know, how tall or how short or what size is anybody? Something, you know, in reality, oftentimes what we're seeing is not the reality, and that's unfortunately what most people are comparing to. Would you agree with that?
Yes,
Being in the fashion world, you could probably give us even a, you know, a better backstory on that. What did you see out there?
Well, it is true. Like we always, especially when we are growing up, I think it starts happening when we are in our teens, where we are bombarded with all these fashion magazines. And at that time, I feel like the focus is more on acceptability from your peers or whatever. And then when you come across images in fashion magazines and everything, it's almost like an aspiration. Is like, I want to be like her, or, you know, I want to look like her. And that kind of stays through. And um, just as to how each individual's life progresses, sometimes it stays, and then it leads to this, when you like the non-matching of the two images, like I was talking to you about. When that happens, then you kind of feel like, okay, I'm not good enough, I don't look beautiful enough, because in your mind you're always kind of referring back to it. Or sometimes I've seen it even happens like in my case, wherein I used to feel I looked good in my teen years or in my university years or a couple of years before, and then when I saw that mismatch in my current images, and I was looking at myself, I felt like, oh no, I have to look like that. That is perfect. This is imperfect. And so, yeah, absolutely. So that's what I feel like. Uh, we need to just know that, you know what, we are beautiful individuals just the way we are, and we can change that. If we don't like something, we can definitely work towards changing it. So, yeah.
So those messages really are, and if we look at what I do, which is authenticity, is about being authentic. Like you are right, like we are so much more than what we look like on the outside. But if that's the only benchmark that you're using without kind of recognizing, you know, who am I? You know, do I like me? You know, and what do I do? To be kind to myself first. And I think oftentimes what happens is, you know, we can be really nice to the meanest person in our lives or people, but we're oftentimes not so nice to ourselves. And that's really external and internal back and forth, which is really what self-esteem is. You know, so what I'm curious about is when you meet women, right, what do you do? Like, what do you do? Like like, I mean, when I meet people, obviously in my work, as a coach or, you know, in psychotherapy, I go through an assessment, which is conversational. Is yours similar? What do you do? Or do you do a formal piece, where they fill out paperwork? What's your process?
Yeah, so my process is exactly like you mentioned. For me, it's very important, no matter which shoot I'm doing, it's really important for me to know as to what is it that they're really looking forward to, be it their personal branding or their beauty or family portraits. So always have a consult done with them. And once I know the vision of their shoot, then it's easier for me to kind of map everything in my mind as to what I'm going to create for them. So yeah, so I first nail down like a photo shoot date, and then I kind of back calculate 2 or 3 weeks from that day, and then I have a style consultation. And on the style consultation, I talk in depth about, okay, what is your vision? If it's for personal branding, where does your business stand at the moment? Are you going through a process of rebranding? What is your vision? What is it that you want to communicate? And even for beauty portraits, is the exact same thing. So once I understand what is it that they're looking for, then it's easier for me to kind of map the shoot, so to say, like I was saying, accordingly. So I have the style consultation. I discuss, okay, what outfits to get for your photo shoot, what colors to pick, what accessories to pick, and all that is discussed on the day of the consult. I actually send them a style guide and a beauty guide, which they are looking at while I'm walking them through. So it's easier for them to understand it because it's visual. Then after that, they come in on the day of the photo shoot. I have a hair and makeup artist waiting for them, and they go into hair and makeup. Then I photograph them in the different outfits and the lifestyle shots that we've discussed. Then I take around 2 weeks for a signature edit my images, and then they come back in for a presentation where they actually get to see what happened on the day of the shoot and really see what images is looking at that moment or they love from the photo shoot. So it's a little bit different and a slightly longer process, but then the clients seem to really enjoy it because they know that they have been handheld and really it really takes care of any anxiety or any kind of thing that they have in their mind. It's like, okay, what do I get for the shoot, or how am I going to look, or what am I going to do, and all of that. So yeah.
So with business, I would think that most people have a vision of branding. I would assume most of the time. So they have a sense of what they're going to want to. But let's say, I'm going to play devil's advocate. It's a woman. I don't like kind of how I look. I'm not so sure what my look is. Like, I kind of think it should be this, but I'm not so sure. And I'm going back and forth with you because I'm confused myself because I'm not comfortable in my skin and I want to look beautiful, but I'm not sure what that should look like. How do you help me out?
So, so here's what my fashion background kind of helps me over here. because having worked for so many international brands, I kind of understand more about branding and how to really communicate the story of the brand to the target audience. So then I know that, okay, if somebody hasn't had a chance to really work onto their branding more, it's a great opportunity. I feel like, you know what, wow, that is incredible, because now I get to really work with them right from, okay, what is it that you really want to communicate to your target audience? So is it that you want to look powerful and confident, or you want to look warm and approachable? What is the nature of your work that is there? Are you a coach, or are you into real estate, or are you into mortgage, or are you into health and wellness? So based on that, then every question is asked to them in a way that it just helps them clarify, because we know what we want. It's just that we might not be able to see it at that moment. And also, okay, what colors are you really drawn to? If you don't have your branding colors already kind of, so then what are you gravitate towards, or what kind of field are you in? So say, for example, I had a person wherein they were into spiritual guidance and all of that, and earlier they were using hot pink, but it didn't are the thing that they were kind of helping the clients with. So it was more of, okay, what is it that you really want your target audience to feel? So she's like, okay, I want them to feel loved, and I want them to feel safe, and I want them to feel trustworthy, and I want them to feel calm and completely at ease with me. And so I'm like, okay, then let's look at, are you drawn to more of blues? And in blues, what are the tones or colors that you're drawn to? It? So it was like, okay, I like aqua blue. And catered the shoot around that. And just the personal branding for me was more like, okay, how do I show this person's divine power through their images? And that's how we kind of discussed and came to do her images. And so far, that's like my most favorite shoot, because every time I see her images, it gives me goosebumps, because I can actually feel a positive and beautiful aura through that. So
it's interesting, right? Because I get to tell you an example. When I did my shots, so I had one photographer, both came to my home, right, to do. And the first set of shots, people said it looked contrived. It just didn't look like me. It didn't, and the second one, a different photographer, and I looked completely relaxed. And because of my brand, authenticity, relatability, not intimidating in any way, even though I'm bringing the professional background. And the second one captured it within me. Mm-hmm. The first one, even though, yes, I was dressed a bit differently or whatever, I seemed uptight. So and then the second photographer really, he kept saying, just breathe, he kept, he did some outside, and they're all really, those are the ones that I still use today. But I think what you're saying is really, the first was more surface, mm-hmm. and the second was more essence. So is that what you mean?
Absolutely.
Because I often think, and this is, as a coach or a psychotherapist, what we do is, when we go through walk through steps, it's kind of who's important, what's important, how will you know when, what will you be feeling differently, how will you be thinking differently, how will you experience your body in a different way, ultimately based on why they're there.
Right.
And we're continually, I often say, it's like a fuzzy, those old TVs where there's a fuzzy image when I meet them originally. And then as I continue to assess the concerns, whatever they're coming in with, that fuzzy picture becomes clearer and clearer to me in my mind, so I can get them where they need to get. But it's not about me. Yes. It's just about me being a bit of a vehicle alongside them, but they're coming of their own, because their goal has to fit into their lives. Because sometimes people say, well, Roxanne, just tell me what to do and I'll go home and I'll do it. And I say, okay, great. Wait, I'll just give me a couple minutes. I'll write out what you need and I'll send you off. And I said, in 2 weeks, you'll come back you'll be freaking out. You would have done it for 1 week. The second week, you're going to fall on your face, and then you're going to come back and you're going to be really mad at me. And I said, I won't let that happen.
Right.
So do you find that people sometimes try to put you in that spot to have you use your voice, just because they're not sure? Or, how do you kind of deal with those scenarios where they say, Puja, just tell me what to do. You're the fashion icon, colors, wardrobe. What do you do with those people?
I absolutely agree with you. And so if anybody says that to me, I'm like, I will take the photographs for you, but the images are not about me, it's about you. And it's about capturing the essence of your brand and you, because when you put out these images, I really want them to work for you in a way that it not only elevates your brand and really works for your vision, but your target audience is really attracted to you, because now they can feel the authenticity of you being captured in them, and they have that trust built up for you, and they can see that when through the images. So it has to be about you. And so then when I walk them through all of these questions as to, okay, what are the emotions that you want to really for the other person to feel, or what is it that you are more drawn to? Are there any images that you are drawn to? Because when I ask all of those questions, it just becomes clearer and clearer and clearer. And then I kind of build a vision board for them. So when I put all of those ideas onto a vision board for them and they look at it, they are like, oh my God, it's like you are in my head. This is exactly what I wanted. I'm like, I'm glad you feel that way. So I think that really helps, because when I create that for them, it just helps get that clarity for them. And it's almost like I know exactly what's there in their head, and they know exactly what's there in my mind. So it just brings so much of clarity to it.
So what I'm curious about is the family shoot. So let's say, a woman comes in and she goes through all of this. So I'm assuming you're picking color based on tone and feel that they want all those things. Like people want to feel connected. Like you said, when they look at the picture, they get an emotion associated with you. So you're doing all of that.
Yeah.
And then you create something, like you said, the one with the goosebumps. What a feeling. That means you've tapped into something really, really deep there.
Right.
So then you said that they bring the family in. So I'm curious about that. So what happens? So they go through this whole metamorphosis, I call it.
Okay. That's a very good word.
Yeah, well, it's a cocoon, right? You're breaking them out, and like they say with the butterfly, all the things that the butterfly has to go through, which is horrific, to be able to come out of this cocoon and to become this beautiful butterfly, which is really the internal space of our uniqueness within each one of us, which I truly believe.
Yeah.
And what happens to the family? Like, do they get prepped? Do they say, oh, by the way, mom or sister is going to be a bit different? How do you kind of line that up so that you get these pictures in line with this new metamorphosis that has gotten created?
Right. So say, for example, if it's a mother and daughter shoot wherein it's the mom, and then, she has daughters, or she has just one daughter, and then she comes in for her shoot. So the way I work it is that first the mom would go into hair and makeup, and then I start photographing her. And depending on it's say till 16 years of age or whatever, I think girls still like to kind of have a little bit of makeup done, kind of have them like a full makeup like sort of a thing. But I know how it feels at that age, because I have a 12-year-old daughter, and she like your blush and all of that. So we just put like a little bit of blush and a little bit of gloss or something for the small kids, so that they also feel like, oh, I'm all pampered and everything. Like once I photograph the mom, then then the mom takes rest, and then once the daughter is ready, I start with the daughter is 16 or 18 years and up, and she wants to do her hair and makeup like her mom. She goes into hair and makeup. So once she's ready, then I start photographing them. Once everybody is ready, then I photograph all of them together in the different combinations, so that none of the emotions or none of the relationship bonds are kind of missed out. And then if they want the dad in as well, then because I've seen that men don't like to sit through all of the hair and makeup and all of the
No,
shoot
yeah. They're like, do I have to?
and everything. They are like, the perfect time, I'll come in, I'll get my photos done, you tell me what to do, and I want to get out.
Just tell me what shirt to wear and I'm good.
Yes. So towards
For the
the
men
end of
listening, we're not picking on you. It's just we seem to know.
and so dad's coming towards the end, or brothers coming towards the end of the shoot, the last 1 hour, wherein all the girls are taken care of and they've had a lovely time, and then they come in. I kind of create all the combinations for them as a family, and yeah, away they go. So everybody's happy, mom's happy, the daughter's happy because she's been really pampered and enjoyed through the whole process, and dad's happy that okay, he has this 1 hour and everything is done, and yeah, it's a beautiful feeling.
So you actually have the mom. Are you when she's doing hair and makeup, are you doing pictures then too? Or is it just formal, or and same with the child or the younger person?
So the mom goes into hair and makeup the first. Once her hair and makeup is done, then I start photographing her. In the time that I'm photographing mom, her daughter is onto the hair and makeup seat and getting her hair and makeup. So say for example she's 20 years old or whatever,
Mm.
she's getting her hair and makeup done. Once her hair and makeup is done, which takes about the hair and makeup takes about an hour and a half, depending upon the length of the hair and all of that. So after that 1 hour where the daughter's ready, I start photographing her, and mom kind of just relaxes and sees her beautiful daughter being photographed. Once I've done her daughter's images, then I photograph both of them together. So that's how I kind of flow. So it's like everything is flowing smoothly and just back to back, and it's just easy for everyone.
So I know you're doing something pretty special, and I want to give you the opportunity to talk about this because I think the listeners would be quite interested in this. And so there's someone that found out about your business and I want you to tell the listeners a little bit more about that, because I know there's a situation where there's a GoFundMe that you're maybe going to ask people if they're interested in helping out. So tell me a little bit, and tell them a little bit about that GoFundMe that's happening.
Sure, and thank you so much for sharing about the GoFundMe. It's really special for me. I've never done something like this before, and I'm really looking forward to for the campaign to be successful. So it all started a couple of weeks, almost 3 weeks back, where I received an email early morning from my client saying that Puja, I used your website as a therapy for someone who is in our group. So she's a part of international group that are getting trained. They're coaches and they're getting trained on business skills. And so she said that there's this one lady who was a U.S. Marine. She lives in the U.S. and she doubled her weight because of a herniated disc, and she was medically retired. But then because of her gaining so much of weight due to lack of physical activity, she started feeling not beautiful and not good enough, and to the point where she also felt like people would not respect her if she puts her images onto her website, because she's like, because my weight was like, okay, if I'm this weight, then people might start judging me as to, okay, maybe I'm not that good or something like that. And so she said that when she saw your website and how the women were transformed within those couple of hours, she started crying with tears of happiness that, oh, it is possible probably for her too to look beautiful and confident, even though with all of the weight that she has. And then she said that she started seeing as to where you're located, and she wanted to come and get her shoot done from you, but she saw that you're in Toronto and she's in Indianapolis. And so she was not financially in a position to really come down to Toronto and at the same time really invest in getting her photo shoot and everything done. And so she said, okay, I'll just work with, I'll ask any of my family member to take a photo of mine, and I'll start putting that image. And maybe at any point in my life future, I'll get a photo shoot of mine done with Puja. But for me, when I read that email, I was so moved that if only looking at my work or the experience that other women have had, if somebody feels so motivated and empowered, I knew at that moment that how much more motivated and empowered she will feel if she actually experiences this whole experience for herself. And so in that moment, I relayed back a message to her saying that, okay, if there is any way that you can come to Toronto, I will gift you the entire experience and your images and everything at no cost to you as a gift from my side. And so she's all excited, and she decided that she's going to drive down to Toronto. But obviously with that, even though I have gifted her the session and all of that, accommodation, food, and so many other things. So for that, to offset that for her, I created a GoFundMe campaign, and the campaign is called "You Are Beautiful, Michelle,"
Nice.
because I truly believe that. So that GoFundMe is basically to fund her for her expenses, her other expenses, and I'm also putting a bag for her that she can take away with her once her photo shoot and everything is done. It's called as "You Are Beautiful," and it's basically for her to continue feeling beautiful even after the experience. So if there are any in-kind sponsors who would like to donate, I don't know if it's some kind of a makeup thing or jewelry or whatever they feel like, if they are business owners, they want to be an in-kind sponsor. I've just created that campaign for them to connect, and if they want to help monetarily, they can sponsor her by just going to directly to the link. So it's called gofundme.com/You Are Beautiful Michelle. They can go to that link and donate it to her. So generated for her campaign, everything is going to go to her for her to use for her expenses and all of that. So yeah.
What a nice thing, for someone, obviously, like, I mean, because women are, I think, everybody wants to be experienced in a certain way. I think when we, we not to underestimate the physical, because I think we all want to feel beautiful. And whether, we're dressed a certain way, or we wear the same certain colors or whatever, you just feel better. You're right. And what a nice opportunity with someone like this that has gone through such a hard time to be able to do that. Hopefully, if people are hearing this, they will help out with the campaign. Now, Puja, I'm struck by what you do, and I know when you and I met, and we met at a networking event, and as we start to talk further, like what I do is obviously, coaching and psychotherapy, and I work a lot with women, and I think, to be able to have a gift where you can do that, and like I said to you, you're transforming women, in a couple of hours, and it gives them something that's a bit of a legacy piece, right? Because I think of, when I look back at my old pictures, I think, oh my goodness, I was too short, I was too, I should have lost a little bit here, and now you look back and you're like, wow, that was actually a nice picture. So you're right, it's that look, that when we look at ourselves and when we become self-critical, and it's about catching ourselves, like you're saying, right? And those are the things that I teach psychologically, emotionally, and biologically, to really kind of, really start within yourself. And you're doing that intuitively by, in a couple of hours, and then they get to take that piece with them. I think it's a fantastic thing that you're doing. I have a son, so I think I might consider coming with him and, doing it, because I think that's such a nice thing to be able to keep that piece and get something formally done with him.
Right, absolutely. I would love to photograph you anytime you're ready. Just give me a call. I'm here.
So any things that you would like to, I want the listeners to be able to reach out to you, and where they can get a hold of you if they're interested in that, whether it's branding for their business or just the family legacy portrait collection.
Right.
So where can they reach you? And I know you're in Mississauga, but so it's not too far for most people if you're in Ontario, but for other people that, might be interested in just reaching out to you, just to even have a chat with you, that would be great.
I think the best way to reach me is through my website. and it's called as the name of my business is Zoom Into Life Photography, so it's zoomintolife.com. And so if they send me an email through that with their contact information and what is it that they really are looking forward for themselves, then I will definitely make that connection with them, and then we can take it from there. So absolutely, my website would be the best way to connect with me, and it's zoomintolife.com.
Awesome. So what I've taken away from this is that, that chatter in our head skews our perception of how we view ourselves. And I often go to, that takes, slowing down and sometimes just being gentle and kind to ourselves so that we can see what other people see. And obviously Puja does that in such a nice way. And then she makes you look even more beautiful. That light on the inside gets shone and then you capture it in a picture. So thanks so much, Puja, for that. And like I said, we come into this world authentic. It is there. Sometimes we need to kind of figure out the ways to kind of bring out that light as often as possible. So for anyone that likes listening to my show, and if you're wanting a bit more information about me, I'm offering a two-part webinar video series on sexual intimacy, so that if you wanted to get more connected to yourself and then in turn your partner, so you just go to roxannedurhodge.com/sex. Not hard to remember. And what we'll do is we'll send you out those videos. So again, Puja, what a pleasure. And I hope that people take you up on that offer to at least have a chat. And to realize that we have everything right here, right? No need to look too much further. So thanks again. Okay, take care.
Thank you, Roxanne.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.